The following podcast contains adult content, including adult language. I talk openly about sex and other adult topics. If you are under the age of 18 or are uncomfortable listening to sexually explicit narratives, please listen no further. I am not a professional therapist, counselor, or doctor. I'm just an average guy in the swinger lifestyle who likes to share his experiences. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Please seek a professional if you are in need of guidance or care as it relates to sexual health or alternative lifestyles. Hello, lifestyle friends. This is Evan, and welcome to Evan Swings, a lifestyle podcast from a guy's perspective. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you being here. If you're new, here's my usual little intro that I give. Again, I'm Evan, and my wife is Eva. We have been in the lifestyle for 5 years now. 5 years, June 6th, 2026. Yes, I do remember the exact date of our very first lifestyle experience. A hotel takeover in Indianapolis 5 years ago. Eva and I are in our very late 40s. We live in the Dayton, Ohio area, and we prefer a friends with benefits dynamic. If you are here looking for hot, sexy stories, you'll get them once in a while on here, on this podcast, but this podcast is mostly about commentary. I'm here to offer my perspective, my opinions on lifestyle topics stemming from our experiences in the lifestyle. If that's not what you're looking for, well, I humbly suggest moving on to another lifestyle podcast that might be more your speed. Just remember, I'm not an expert. I'm just an average guy here to inform and hopefully entertain. And to all my returning listeners, I thank you, as always, for coming back for more. In case you happen to be wondering, the title of today's episode, it is an obscure reference to a show I really enjoy, which is Schitt's Creek. So yes, if you're a fan of Schitt's Creek, you may recognize the obscure reference there. I have two topics that I want to talk to you about today. But first, I want to just touch on what I discussed last episode. If you haven't listened, I discussed a situation that arose recently where a woman was asking me to, well, more like begging me to fuck her without a condom on. It was the second incidence, the second woman who made such a request of me within the last, I would say, 6 months. So I'm not going to go back and explain what happened. You can go back and listen to that episode if you'd like. But I did have the willpower to refuse. But it got me thinking about something else. What I would like our condom rule to be. Like Eva and myself. Like what I would really like our condom rule to be. Now, I have to say that this is what I want my rule to be, not Eva's. Eva is very strict about it. More strict than I would like her to be, if I'm being honest. We have one couple with whom we have an agreement that we play without condoms whenever we're together. But with anyone else that we happen to play with, condoms must be used. So both of us, both couples, we follow this rule. And that is also I have to say mostly Eva's rule that I am, of course, totally on board with. But again, it got me thinking. If I could have it my way, like my rule, what would it be? Because right now, we're mostly following what Eva wants the rule to be. But if it was up to me, what would it be? So here it is. My rule would be that if we can play without protection with a small circle of friends, that would be it. A group of friends that have played together many times, have established a high level of trust with one another, test regularly, like get screened for STDs and STIs, and agree to always use condoms when playing with a new couple outside of our circle. That would be my rule. If Eva and I instituted this rule, honestly, it would only allow us to add like one additional couple to our circle. That's it. It's not like it's not like we have a whole big group of friends with benefits right now. But the problem is that if I'm thinking about that one other couple, the problem is those two couples do not intermingle. They don't play together. So I guess what I am actually hoping for is to find something that has eluded Eva and myself for quite some time now. And that is finding a group. Finding that group of lifestyle friends that all hang out together, all find each other attractive, and of course all play together. We have met several couples throughout our time in the lifestyle that have that luxury. A group of friends that they travel with. A group of friends that they can have an orgy with. A group of friends that, where there's a high established level of trust. I would love that. That would accommodate my condom rule request. If we're playing in that circle, within that circle, no condoms are needed. Playing outside the circle, condoms are required. Unfortunately for Eva and me, every time we have taken a step to finding that group, something seems to happen to squash it. Friends decide to leave the lifestyle. Friends have a bad experience with other friends and no longer wish to play with them anymore. Especially when you live in an area like we do, where there isn't a high population of lifestyle folks. It's hard enough to find new lifestyle friends. Let me tell you, we've been in a massive rut lately. We have not met a new couple in ages. So it's hard enough to find new friends, let alone establish a group of them who all intermingle happily together. So yeah, that would be my condom rule if it was totally up to me. And that is also, after 5 great years in the lifestyle, the thing that I haven't achieved yet, that I want most to still achieve, if that makes sense. Finding that group of close friends, even if it's just like 2 other couples, that's a group right there. This summer, Eva and I are strongly considering going back to Desire, which is outside of Cancun. And man, I'm just thinking how awesome it would be to have friends there to share the experience with. Moving on. Okay. Like I said, I have 2 topics to discuss with you today. And the first is the result of a listener Sorry, had a technical difficulty there. I had to stop the recording for a moment. So anyway, the first topic is a result of something a listener brought to my attention. A scientific theory, actually. She listened to my recent episode about reclaim sex and wrote to me with her perspective on the topic. She told me about something called sperm competition. If you recall, I have talked many times on this show about how Eva and I both love reclaim sex. After being with other people, we love the excitement and the feeling associated with having sex again as a husband and wife, like reconnecting. And I attributed it in part to the emotional bond we share as a married couple. We are reconnecting. It is an act of love as well as pleasure. While being with the other couples is simply pleasure only. So that's why I hypothesized it is always so intense. It's that extra boost because of the emotion of love that is involved. But this listener reached out and explained that it might be more than that. It might be rooted in science. And after all, we as humans are mammals, we are animals, and we do have animalistic instincts. So she explained that males may experience something called sperm competition, and that's, at least in part, what makes reclaim sex so amazing. So I did a deep dive into this theory. Okay, so I'll start off with, I just want to tell you a little bit about what I learned about this. So there's a lot out there if you do some research about reclaim sex. I found that it's also called reclamation sex or reconnection sex. And a lot of it was what I said. Like, it feels more intense because of the emotional bond. Okay. But there was also information about how there's heightened pleasure that results from a mix of psychological triggers. There's the relational reassurance that, you're back together with your significant other. It reinforces your primary bond. It's like a safe space. It talked about there being a primal urge that, the awareness of the fact that you're partnered with someone else triggers an instinctual arousal. There's the adrenaline rush involved. So there's all that, but there's also the part about sperm competition being, and I'm going to read the definition here, an evolutionary process where the sperm from two or more different males compete to fertilize a single female's egg. It occurs in species where females mate with multiple partners and serves as a major selective force driving changes in male reproductive anatomy, physiology, and mating behavior. When a female mates with more than one male within a short time period, the sperm from the competing males overlap and race to the ova. Then I don't know what this means. The fair-raffle principle dictates that a male's chances of fathering offspring roughly correspond to the proportion of his sperm present in the female's reproductive tract. So calling it sperm competition may not be the actual term I'm going for here, but because that's what sperm competition seems to be, where there's two different male sperm competing for the same egg. And I'm not sure that would trigger what we feel, but I can totally see how there may be other physiological factors going here, like pheromones that give off. When I am with someone else, or when Eva is with someone else, and then we get back together, there may be some pheromones that are given off. That may be the sperm competition that this listener was referring to. So there's a whole bunch of scientific mumbo jumbo that offers a little insight here. Now, although I didn't find anything that specifically indicates sperm competition increases the overall sensations we experience during reclaimed sex, I think it makes a lot of sense. Our bodies, and by our specifically, I mean we males, we may react differently, more intensely when another man has been with our mate, due to, like I said, pheromones or instinct. So I'm not surprised that there is a likely scientific link there. Okay, now let me move on to my other topic and the reason for the title of this episode. As I've mentioned, I've been in the lifestyle with Eva for 5 years now. And in those 5 years, I distinctly remember this. I know the number. I've only been asked by a woman to choke her 3 times. And by choke, I don't mean anything too rough, okay? Like just some mild pressure around her neck. I actually dedicated an entire episode to my first experience with this. I call the episode Evan Chokes. And that's why this episode is Evan Chokes 2. I would not say it went very well with, my previous experience with this, if I'm being honest. And it may have contributed to that particular couple choosing not to hang out with us anymore because we don't see them anymore. And then another woman, part of a couple who we play with occasionally, recently asked me to put my hands around her neck on 2 separate occasions. The first of which I was hesitant again, but I did it. It didn't last long, maybe 10 seconds or so, where my hands were placed firmly around this woman's neck. And after that play session was over, and I was able to reflect on it a little bit, I thought to myself, I could do that. If a woman wants me to do that, I could do that. I got this. And so that brings me to our most recent play date with that particular couple. Several things happened where I found myself stepping a little bit outside my comfort zone, or at least engaging in things that I'm not used to. The evening started as most evenings do, with Eva, myself, and our friends with benefits, I should say, dinner and drinks, and then we had them come back to our house for games, and then relaxing in the hot tub. After some kissing and touching started there, we got out and went to our playroom, and that's just what we call it. It's not like a red room or anything like that. There's no, toys and chains lining the walls, nothing like that. It's just a spare bedroom that we use. Eva has a rule that only she and I can play in our master bedroom. Like only the 2 of us can be on our bed. So any lifestyle friends that come over, we go to a guest room to play. Anyway, we are in there on the bed, and things start, progressing. And the woman starts gently biting and licking my nipple. Ladies, I have said it before. There are only 2 areas that are off limits if you play with me. One is my balls. I'll admit it. I have overly sensitive testicles. They can be touched and licked and caressed, but you can't bite them or be rough with them in any way. Even a slight squeeze will cause me discomfort. And then the other body part that is off limit is my nipples, okay? I don't know why. I can't explain it. But I just don't like my nipples touched. Intentionally, at least. Incidental contact, totally 100% fine. But I don't want women, like, intentionally caressing them, pinching them, licking them, or biting them. For the most part, I would say I don't think many women enjoy dedicating a lot of time to a man's nipples. You know, I don't think there's a lot of women out there who are thinking, oh man, I can't wait to pinch his nipples. I can't wait to get under that shirt and bite that guy's nipples. But I'm sure there are some out there, and I just don't like that sort of thing. But I neglected to tell this woman that in the few times we had played with them. And until this moment, it never came up. I didn't want to ruin the mood, so I just tensed up, and I let her. And you know what? It wasn't awful. I think it was because I was very turned on and in the moment and felt like, you know, this woman can just do whatever she wants to me. So I think that's why. Now, this is episode 70 of this podcast, and in 69 previous episodes, I don't think I ever mentioned this, but I enjoy being bitten playfully. Not too hard. You know, I don't need to see teeth marks on my skin the next day, but I do enjoy playful biting on places like my back, my neck, my shoulders, and even my chin and lips. I really like that. And until this moment, 5 years in the lifestyle, the only woman that I at least remember doing that to me has been Eva. But tonight, this woman seemed to be pulling out all the stops and getting really comfortable with me after, like I said, a few times playing together previously. She started biting my shoulders and neck, and it felt amazing. And it's times like this when I think, man, 5 years in the lifestyle, and I'm still managing to experience new things. It's an awesome feeling. Then she turned the tables on me. She told me to bite her. I have to admit, again, something I may not have ever mentioned before, the playful biting, like on other bodies, I enjoy that too. Like, I enjoy doing that to other people. I do it to Eva fairly frequently. And again, nothing too intense, all right? I don't leave marks that she can see the next day. But I enjoy a little biting. I think my favorite thing to bite is her butt cheeks, okay? But yeah, I really enjoy gentle biting. I have never tried anything even remotely rough. But I admit that that's something I might like to explore with someone someday. Not trying to leave marks again, but I'm not really opposed to going a little bit harder if that is what is requested of me. And here's this woman requesting that I bite her shoulders and neck. And so I did. I didn't know how hard she wanted me to do it, so I kept things very gentle. I find that with this particular woman, we are slowly building, more and more trust in each other. She also asked me to slap her ass while I was fucking her from behind. And another first here, she asked me to do it harder. And I don't know. Maybe it has happened before, and I just don't remember. But I never really know when a woman wants me to slap her ass. If it's something she likes, and if she is comfortable with me doing, I just don't know. And I'm always like afraid to try. I remember one time a woman's husband, during play, looked over to me and told me to slap his wife's ass. So I did. He was like, slap her ass. Okay. But again, I kind of wait for an invitation with that sort of thing, because I don't want to offend anybody, don't want to hurt anyone. And this woman was not only giving me an invitation, but also told me to do it harder. And I found that so hot. And then finally, when we're in the missionary position, she brought my hand up to her neck and said, put your hand here. So I did. And I squeezed. Not too firmly at all, but more than I've ever done with a woman before. Eva does not enjoy being choked, or even having hands on her neck in any way during sex. Which is why what I'm about to tell you here in a moment is very surprising. But anyway, okay, so back to me. I am not used to it at all. I have not had a lot of experience with it. But now again, this is the third time I've been asked to do this sort of thing. And I found myself becoming more and more comfortable with it. I kept my hand on her neck for, I don't know, about 30 seconds or so maybe. Never squeezing too hard. More or less just keeping my hand firmly on her neck. But you know what? I was okay with it. She liked it. And for me, I was stepping outside of my comfort zone, and I was okay with it. And that's the lesson I learned. Okay, that is the main reason why I wanted to share this story with you today. In the lifestyle, it is okay to step outside of your comfort zone and try new things. Something you think you may not enjoy, you may actually find enjoyable. Something you may never think you wanted to try, you may suddenly find yourself having interest in. And the big one for Eva and myself is separate play. Okay, when we got into the lifestyle, we never even considered the possibility of playing with someone separately. And we tried it. It was unexpected. And we found that we both really enjoyed it. And that's not something we do often. We don't have the opportunities to do it maybe twice a year. But it is something we have found that we enjoy. And something you claim you are not comfortable doing, you may find you have some comfort with after all. Now, I'll admit, there are some things that I would never do, even if asked, okay? Like intense pain, degradation stuff, gross stuff with bodily fluids, pee and poop stuff. No, absolutely not. There are definitely things I would absolutely put my foot down for. I have boundaries, and I hope that my listeners out there would agree with me that boundaries are important. So there are some lines that I have no desire to cross and will never cross, even if asked of me. So my advice to you listeners is that if you are avidly against something, don't do it. Don't change your rules or force yourself to do something you absolutely know you will hate. But if you're indifferent or unsure about something, not as adamantly against, it might be worth it to give it a shot. Because right now, I feel that if a woman asked me to put my hands or a hand on her neck, I'd be okay with it. It's not something that I would voluntarily do without being asked to do. And it's not something I want to do all the time. But if that contributes to a woman's enjoyment of their time with me, then I'm happy to do it. I always say, I get more pleasure from knowing that I pleasured a woman than receiving pleasure myself. And I hope that makes sense. And I also think it helps that this was not my first time playing with this woman. Over a few play dates, we have built and continue to build a foundation of trust and comfort. So I'm getting more and more comfortable with her, and she is with me. That, in my opinion, is one of the greatest benefits of friends with benefits. Establishing that high level of comfort and trust in someone. You learn the person's boundaries, and they learn yours. You learn what each other really enjoys in the bedroom. That is always one of my biggest hang-ups with playing with a woman for the first time. Unless they specifically tell me what they want and enjoy, and they usually don't, then it's a lot of figuring things out. The biggest example I can give you is fingering. I never know how hard to go with a woman. Some women I have been with enjoy a really vigorous fingering. And some, I discovered that even my hardest is not quite hard enough. And then I've actually been with at least 2 women that have told me during play, not so rough. Don't do that so hard. Yeah. So it's just the figuring out part is hard for me to do. But if you develop a friends with benefits dynamic with someone you're able to play with multiple times and develop, an understanding of each other's desires, then you learn and adapt. And that's something that Eva and I really enjoy. Oh, and I said there was something surprising that I would tell you about during that play date. That was when we were all on the bed together, and then I suddenly look over at Eva, and the guy has his hand on her neck. I was shocked. Eva, like I said, has always been very much against having anyone's hands, even resting on her neck during sex. Like even just resting there, she says that it affects her breathing. Or she at least starts thinking that it's affecting her breathing, and she gets in her own head. So that has been a huge no-no with her. And yet, she was letting this guy do it. I was so surprised. When I asked her about it later, she explained that she was starting to feel more okay with it, because there have been a few different guys who have tried to put their hands on her neck, and she has told them to stop immediately. Now, it's not something she wants to engage in all the time. It didn't bring her an intense amount of pleasure, maybe even any pleasure at all, but she was more inclined to allow the gentleman to do it because that was something he really enjoyed. Like I said, guys, trying new things sometimes works out. And when you start building that trust with someone, that extra layer of comfort and respect for one another, you will find that you are able to explore things that are still new to you and find that while you used to think they're not for you at all, there might be a place in your repertoire after all. And that's all I got for today. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Just kidding. I don't care about all that stuff. Thanks for listening. Any questions or comments that you might have, you're welcome to contact me, including suggestions for future topics. If there's something you'd like to hear my opinion about, let me know. You can find the Evan Swings page on Blue Sky. Just search for Evan Swings. You can look for my profile on SLS or swing.com by searching for the username Evan Swings Podcast, all one word. I'm on Instagram and Blue Sky under the name Evan Dienson, EvanDeanson, or you can always send me an email at evandeenson@gmail.com. Just please be patient with me. I don't check my socials as often as I should. Gmail would probably be the best way to get a prompt response. Until next time, though, my friends, please remember, be safe, be adventurous, and always live life to the fullest.